Back in the studio, and we were talking earlier about whether or not the young men who unfortunately choose not to respect authority, whether or not they should have more respect when being approached by someone who has a gun, whether it's a police or not. And certainly in this case in Ferguson, precautionary measures, we have to, and this has nothing to do with the case, this is now talking to young men, to protect life, take precautionary methods. We've all been in a situation, not all of us, many black men, let me say that, have been in a situation where your life hangs in the balance of the decision that you make. I was held at gunpoint in my own home by a white policeman in North Charleston that has one of the worst records in terms of racial relationships. And of course, I had to make sure that every action that I took was one to save my life. So I put my hands in the air. And when they asked me to even reach into my own pocket, my response was, no, I'd rather one of you come over and do it for me, because we don't need to make any sudden moves here. If I get stopped by the police, my hand goes on the steering wheel so that they can see them. Because normally they're going to, the thing that they worry about the most is your hands, where your hands are, where your hands are not. So you want them to see your hands. And then that gives them no opportunity to say that there's any misunderstanding. And it seems that in this situation, there's room to say that it was questionable whether or not the police thought that he was moving towards him in an aggressive way, versus moving towards him to say that, hey, I'm giving up. The previous interaction would say that, the police had the right to question.
Along with the same lines is that our young people need to be more mindful on our interaction with law enforcement, be it black or white. We need to be more mindful. In the late 20s, in the early of the 19th century, blacks were like, don't do this, don't do that, because if you did such as what's the young man that whistled at the white woman and they killed him with the in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, with had the engine block tied around him. He was from Chicago. Young boys back in 1940 something. Emmett Till for whistling at a white woman, and he was killed. Well, the people that were from Mississippi, that lived in Mississippi, they know, don't you whistle at no white woman. If not, this is what's going to happen to you. So today, we have to understand that when a police officer gives you a lawful order, and you need to understand what lawful orders are, obey it. Obey it. I mean, because the one, like what John said, hey, protect life. And I'm not this. I hate for any 18-year-old to be buried at such a young age. I wanted him to live, but we have to understand that the black life still has very little value in the United States. And until we can come to that conclusion, we'll still see more situations such as Michael Brown. We'll still see more situations such as Eric Bell. We'll still see more such a situations such as Trayvon Martin. We'll still see such situations such as the young man that was choked to death in New York. Garner, and Mr. Garner. So until we
the Orangeburg massacre, you can go on and on.
So we have to be. You have to understand. You are black and in America, and America is one of the most racist states, racist countries in the world, and you have to understand how to live along that. How to live in this country, and we're not all treated equally. Like we said earlier, justice is not fair in the United States. It's been cheating on us. Lady Justice has been cheating on us. She took the blindfold off.
Now that's not to say that you simply need to remain subservient the rest of your life.
No.
Listen, I've been called an angry black man, and of course there are a lot of things that any man white or black, if treated the way we were treated, oftentimes should be angry.
Yeah.
But now don't take that anger and allow that anger to then be used against you.
Right.
You take that anger along with some intelligent strategies, and then you address the issue. Being angry in itself is not a good or bad thing, depending on what you do with it.
Yeah.
If you take that anger and you channel it properly, for instance, in Ferguson, emotions run high, and we understand that, but we also need to take some of that energy and put it into sitting down, developing a strategy first that is going to allow it to be addressed right now. And to go through the community and tear your own community up is not going to help. But there is a strategy that you can use. You use that strategy to sit down and to collectively address the first issue, the second issue, the third issue that you want to be dealt with. Now, if that means that you get together and you deal with boycotts, financial boycotts, because money talks.
Right.
If that means that you shut stores down methodically, that where blacks have traditionally gone, and that you simply stop spending your money in any community other than the black community. And if there's something that you need, then you get it from someone either within your community or some black outside of your community.
Right.
That speaks volumes. If it requires that you end up taking the legal route and filing actions, then do that, because again, that then goes to the judicial system, which is where you should carry disagreements. Those kinds of things are what you need to do in order to make them address the issues. Long term, use the power of the vote. When you take a look at Ferguson and the number of African Americans there, there's no reason why there should not be not only an African American mayor, but police chief as well. Fire chief and many other department heads. And then what you do is require proportional assignment. You need to have the same amount of policemen on the force that reflects the census makeup in the community. Right. Those are the kinds of things that need to be done in order to move forward with addressing the issues, rather than come in and allow them to only surround your community and contain your anger within your community. You need to, if they're going to make you keep it in your community, then use your funds in your community only.
Right.
And those are the kinds of things we need to do.
Because the rioting, it does not solve the problem. I mean, the watch riot did not solve the problem. Yeah, we vented our anger out, but it did not solve the problem. But you're hurting yourself when you're looting your own community. And instead, just as John said, let's change it. Let's funnel that anger to something that's more productive. What's productive is having a black administration that's going to address black issues, because it's obvious that your current mayor in Ferguson is not addressing the issues that's facing the black community in Ferguson.
And Ferguson surprisingly has about the same makeup in terms of racial makeup is North Charleston. We've never had a black mayor here. A lot of the same issues. We've got one of the highest, and always in terms of killings, we have more killings in North Charleston than anywhere in the country, it seems like, and always in the top 10.
Two young boys that were murdered last weekend.
We always have less than 15% of the jobs going to African Americans, and we're almost 50% of the population.
Right.
$100 million budget, and we are virtually excluded from the contracts, from the employment, proportionally speaking.
Right.
And so we have to, in North Charleston, just like in Ferguson, we have to come together and we have to use our anger intelligently, so that we place ourselves in the position that we don't have to ask someone to please give us some fairness, that we can demand fairness because we are in control of the situation.
Well, I also look at this is that this if we want to remember, because Michael's stepfather, father and mother asked peaceful, not this, because when we first saw about Michael Brown, we saw about the strong arm robbery, okay? Right now, they're doing what, and I don't even think Michael Brown would want them to be doing this right now. I don't think so.
No.
And we should also honor respect, those rioters should respect the wishes of the family and make this a peaceful demonstration and not one that is looting. You're looting or stealing is the same thing. You shouldn't be remembering that. And also, when I was in the Navy,
destruction of property.
yeah, and when I was in the Navy, when you swore that oath, you swore that oath to defend the Constitution against foreign and domestic enemy. And you're also an ambassador to the United States. So no matter where I went, either in the States or out the state, I was an ambassador. How do I want others to look at the United States when I am in this uniform? Well, how do you want others to view black people? And that's how blacks need to carry themselves in a way to where, look here, I'm representing my race. And I like what Malcolm X said, that do you want to be considered a traitor to your race? I don't want to be considered a traitor to my race.
No, I would like to see where, in honor of Michael Brown,
Right.
that throughout the country, starting with cities that are predominantly African American, that we change the power structure.
Yeah.
We change the power structure by registering people to vote, getting to the polls, and voting in an administration that's first fair. And there's nothing wrong with having one that also looks like you, particularly when you're African American
Right.
and you're the majority of the population. So from this, Ferguson, North Charleston, and many other municipalities that are predominantly black, in honor of Michael Brown, what we need to do is we need to go out, we need to start registering people to vote. We can change the police department, we can change the training, we can change the way they interact with blacks by making the administration black.
Also,
And,
we need to make sure that we get the right candidates.
Sure,
that's
get the right
truthful
candidate.
and that's
Yeah.
trustworthy.
Get someone, first of all, who is going to pledge that proportional assignment. That means that if the census says that you 48% of the population, then 48% of the jobs, 48% of the contracts, 48% of all of the resources are used within that community. If you're 12%, then you get 12%. Now, a lot of people are going to say we can't do that. We can put a man on the moon and do all kinds of things.
Look here, man,
And
they
we
put
can
it-
make sure that African Americans stay within 15%, then certainly we can devise some method that proportionally assigns the resources.
We put a satellite on an asteroid traveling 100,000 miles an hour.
Sure.
So we can do this.
Of course.
We can do this. And but it's going to require a commitment and determination. And what better way to honor Michael Brown than to making this change?
This has been another edition of
The Naked Truth. Please subscribe.